Hello out there and welcome to Your Next Mission video podcast. On November 11th, Open Enrollment began for the Federal Employees Dental and Vision Insurance Program, also known as FEDVIP, and it runs through December 9th at midnight Eastern Time. This is a critical time for retired military service members and their families who are trying to plan their dental and vision insurance coverage. There's a lot for us to sort through, and we're fortunate to have the director of the Federal Employee Program Community Relations and the manager of Uniformed Services Community Relations, Blue Cross Blue Shield Association, to help us do just that. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Your Next Mission video podcast, where we tell the stories of those who have served in the past and those who are serving today. From transition to financial wellness, VA benefits to mental health, we cover issues facing veterans, active military, and their families. Now here's your host, the 12th Sergeant Major of the Army and co-founder of the American Freedom Foundation, Jack L. Tilley.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks to all of our veterans and service members and families for your service to our great country. Now, before we get started, I personally want to thank our presenting sponsors, Navy Federal Credit Union, whose members are the mission, and Purdue Global, where you can start your comeback with additional sponsorship from Blue Cross Blue Shield FEP Dental and Blue Cross Blue Shield FEP Vision and USAA. Together, they make your next mission happen. They love our veterans and families, and if you listen to the show, I say it every week, we love them too. Today, we're going to talk about dental and vision insurance and what you need to know as your open enrollment period begins. And I'm happy to welcome back for his second visit with us, retired Navy Fleet Master Chief Paul Kingsbury, the Director of Federal Employee Program Community Relations, Army and Army veteran Leslie Santiago-Rodriguez, Manager of Uniformed Services Community Relations at Blue Cross Blue Shield Association. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. But before we ever get started, Paul, Leslie, before we jump into any discussion, I personally want to thank you for being a sponsor for the American Freedom Foundation and Your Next Mission. We're so grateful for your support, and it really, quite frankly, it makes a big difference to our veterans and family community. So thank you so much. We got a lot to talk. Well, it is a privilege that you get associated with us, and you're helping so many people. So God bless you, and thank you for your support. We got a lot to talk about, but before we do that, could each one of you take a couple of minutes and tell us a little bit about yourself? And Leslie, we're going to start with you. Go ahead.
So I am Leslie. I am actually an Army veteran.
All right.
I did 5 years active duty and then 4 years in the National Guard. Active duty time was spent on Fort Wainwright, Alaska. So Opahe to all y'all out there. And during my service, we were Arctic Wolves, but then we got the Stryker Brigade and they sent us to the desert. So, we had a big climate change during that time to get adjusted to.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Paul, how about yourself? Tell the audience just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. For those who didn't know, I did 31 years in the Navy. I was a Navy nuke, operated nuclear power plants, and then got in the Command Master Chief program and retired in 2018 as the Fleet Master Chief at Fleet Forces Command. Worked for the U.S. Naval Institute for about 3 years, doing community outreach for them, expanding their reach. And then was fortunate to come across an opportunity to join the Blue Cross Blue Shield Association team, initially as a Uniformed Service Community Relations Director. And then recently, I'm now the Director of the Federal Employee Program Community Relations Program. And I'm, as you can see, I'm so grateful to have Leslie join our team as the manager of the Uniformed Service portfolio. And she's going to do great work for us as we go forward.
Well, I appreciate your support. I usually say to people that, I spent about 36 years in the service. So I say to anybody behind me, I always say quitter. But I'm not going to say that to you guys today.
That's okay. Yeah. We all quit at some point.
No, you got to quit at some point. That's right. Hey, Paul, when you talk about military service members who have retired about, dental and vision insurance, Do you find many of them think, well, I've got TRICARE, so my family and I, we're covered. We don't need anything. Do you find a lot of people that think that's true?
Yeah, I would offer this. So when I go back, I did not pay a lot of attention to dental and vision insurance when I was on active duty. I just knew I had to go down to dental, take care of my stuff. I knew I had enrolled in some program, some premiums were coming out of my paycheck, and my family just went and got it covered. And then when I retired, that's when I got some transition advice. I wasn't paying much attention to it. I wasn't aware of the FEDVIP program, Federal Employees Dental and Vision Insurance Program. And I definitely didn't understand how my insurance on active duty was transitioning to my retired status. And for those that don't retire, there's no transition. At that point, you're going to pick up dental and vision in some new way through your employer on the commercial market. So absolutely, Jack, the awareness is low. And that's a lot of the work that Leslie and I do, not just with the outreach we do, but with our partners to try to help educate and inform our members of not just that, but for active duty members, what they're eligible for under the federal, FEDVIP program.
A lot of times you stayed in the Navy a long time, I stayed in the Army a long time, but we're not focused on benefits and entitlements. We're not talking on vision and dental and all that. We're focused on our mission and stuff. So sometimes it's just, I don't know, it's something that we just never think about. And I wish at one point in our military career that we'd put that kind of education into our educational system within the military. So we start talking about that with them and the family members all the way through versus wait until the very end, because a lot of people struggle out there that just don't have the right kind of coverage. So I thank you for what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Leslie, what about active duty families and spouses? Are they already covered for dental and vision?
So for dental, they are covered. When it comes to vision, TRICARE program for active family members and dependents, so the children as well, are not covered through TRICARE. So what happens is that a lot of the active duty service members, especially the junior enlisted, that don't get paid as high, are also coming out of pocket for glasses and contact lenses for their spouses and their kids. So the program allows them to go ahead and offset that cost. With our two plans, our high option can save a family member around $800 to $900 on a single pair of glasses, compared to having to pay $1,000 to $1,200 out of pocket. Then the standard option, that goes ahead and saves them about 60 to 70% of a single pair of glasses as well. So this is why it's really important and why we do the work that we do, to go ahead and kind of have that program in place and the knowledge to our service members, active, retired.
Yeah. Here's a question probably for both of you here is, I guess you, Paul and Leslie, do you go out and talk to large groups of military members and family members? And when you talk to them about insurance, what's the number one thing that you're probably surprised about that they don't know when you're talking to them about insurance? And Paul, we'll start with you.
Yep. So to Leslie's point, and I didn't know this either because there's a lot of change. So we know we have TRICARE and we assume it covers our family for everything. So number one, there's an awareness that TRICARE does not offer comprehensive vision insurance for family members or dependents. Mm-hmm. The member's covered, right? So if I'm an active duty member, I can go down to medical, I can get an annual, vision exam, I can get, glasses. When I was on active duty, I ended up getting LASIK surgery for my eyes. Your family's not eligible for that. They can get an exam every few years. But when it comes to glasses, contacts, any kind of higher level vision care needs, there's low awareness of that. You're not covered under TRICARE, and all that cost is going to come out of pocket. So that's why you got to understand FEDVIP is a program that you can get comprehensive vision insurance through for your family. Again, emphasize that's for the spouse and the dependents only. Active duty members covered under TRICARE. The second area I would offer is, again, when you retire, understanding like dental and vision. Yeah, on active duty, you've got a TRICARE dental vision or a TRICARE dental program for your family. but that changes once you retire. So you're going to have TRICARE once you retire. That's going to cover your medical insurance and your costs. But then your dental and vision insurance, you're going to have to pick up through FEDVIP, Federal Employee Dental Vision Insurance Program. If you don't opt for that, you can go for your employer after you retire. They could offer something, or you got to go on the commercial market. So that is where awareness is low of how things change. They're supposed to, when we all retire, we're supposed to go see a health benefits officer, at our local clinic, and they're supposed to educate on us. But I think there's so much going on that kind of gets lost in the mix of, I got to find a job, I'm moving, I'm worried about a paycheck and things like that. So my emphasis is just awareness of how your dental and vision insurance changes. And there is cost that's associated with that.
Yeah. Same question to you, Leslie. Are you surprised about what people don't know when you go out there and start talking to groups of people?
I am. So that's one of the things that I kind of enjoy is the education portion. There are many people, I will say, throughout the 2-3 years that me and Paul have worked together and have been going out, that the FEDVIP knowledge base of FEDVIP has risen, but there are still service members and family members that don't realize the connection that it has to them, especially while they're active duty, and the retirees as well. They have a basic knowledge of, well, I know that I need it and I know that TRICARE stopped, but where do I go? And, is it just one provider or do I have options? So it's really rewarding for me to be out there doing the education and informing everybody that I come into contact with, what their benefits are, the eligibility, where they can go. And, we're getting more people throughout the years now that we communicate with that go out and they're like, oh, FEDVIP, I know you. So that also kind of, it's like, oh, yeah, great to hear, and then as we continue, it's also like, oh, didn't I see you last year? I looked into it. So getting the message out there is really important and rewarding to us.
I got to be honest. Go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
I was going to jump in. So Jack, another thing, we're not used to having to know all these terms you learn in the civilian sector. Right? We're not used to what's a premium, what's in network, what's a deductible, right? So that's another thing people have to start to think about if you're retiring from the military. And even if you're getting out, and not retiring, these are terms on the civilians. It's not just go down to medical, go down to dental, and they take care of you, right? You've got to find your dentist. You got to know if they're in network, whatever insurance provider. What kind of plan do I need? Do I need a family? Do I need a one? Do I need a self plus one? There is language out there and education that needs to happen. And that's another thing. I'm not surprised by that, but it's a point I like to emphasize. There's a body of education you need to know about insurance once you're outside of the military.
We got to take a quick break here in a minute, but say one thing before we take the break is that I really depended on my spouse to do everything. I never did all this stuff. She did everything. I said, if I got to do it, just somewhere I got to sign and stuff. So I really depended on my spouse, and I think a lot of people, all services, depend on their spouse to take care of those things. I want to talk to you about the challenges you face when it comes to making sure people know what they're entitled to. But first, we need to take a short break, so I know you're not going to go anywhere. Stay right there. We'll be right back. This is Your Next Mission video podcast with me, your host, Jack L. Tilley, 12th Sergeant Major Army. If you're enjoying this, is good. I know they are because we're talking about helping our veteran community. Please like us. Click on that subscribe button below. And be sure to click on the bell to receive notifications of all of our upcoming video podcast releases. I'll be right back after a word from my presenting sponsors.
You're watching Your Next Mission video podcast, proudly presented by Navy Federal Credit Union, the most trusted credit union owned by members of the military community, serving all branches of the armed forces and their families. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Their members are the mission. And Purdue Global. You're ready for a comeback, and with Purdue Global, you can do more than take classes. You can take charge of your story, of your career, of your life. Earn a degree you can be proud of and get an education employers respect. Start your comeback at purdueglobal.edu. Now back to your host, the 12th Sergeant Major of the Army, Jack L. Tilley.
Welcome back. We're talking with retired Navy Fleet Master Chief Paul Kingsbury, Director of the Federal Employee Program Community Relations, and Army veteran Leslie Santiago-Rodriguez, Manager of Uniformed Services Community Relations at Blue Cross Blue Shield Association. Before we get back to our discussions, I want to let you know about a way to support the work we're doing on behalf of our veterans and their families here at Your Next Mission. If you have a used vehicle you're planning to get rid of, or some property you don't want or have plans for, you can donate it. Visit our website at AmericanFreedomFoundation.org/donate and click on the vehicle car donation button or the home donation button to support our work. Every penny from this donation goes to support our veteran community. Please know we sincerely appreciate your support. Paul, insurance coverage can get confusing sometimes. What are your biggest challenges when it comes to making sure people know what they're really know what they're entitled to?
So I think number one, so there's the big challenge is a lack of education. I think you touched on this earlier, right?
Yeah.
So we might be we know TRICARE. I think everything's binned under TRICARE. I know I have TRICARE, but I don't think we know enough about the nuances. I don't think we're educated to pause and think about those when we're on active duty. I think transition programs try to do it, but I think transition programs focus heavily on how to get a job, how to prepare for your next career. I don't think they're holistic enough to kind of capture the full portfolio of things you need to be thinking about. I think it's something we honestly take for granted, again, because of the ease, right, of getting an access to care that we access in the military. And I think that's kind of a big piece of it that keeps you insulated from understanding kind of civilian side insurance and how you think about that separately when you're outside.
If you could go back and change the program and better prepare yourself to get out of service about benefits and entitlements in the Navy, what would you do? Would you do anything differently?
So absolutely. So number one, I'd be in TAP GPS. I think that's what it's still called, but the transition program, I would build it for retirees specifically. I would build in content that specifically talks about insurance and not just dental vision, but hey, TRICARE, life insurance is huge, right? Like how you got to think about life insurance and those opportunities. And then TRICARE and FEDVIP as well. I would add a track into that to talk about those kind of things. And I think that's important for, even if you're not retiring, for our service members that are younger that are getting out, hey, you're so used to this kind of program and medical and dental and vision insurance being offered, it's going to change. I think that has to be built into our transition assistance programs.
Oh, that's a great idea. You ought to give that idea back to the Navy or to the military services. That's a great idea.
Yes. I think it's the VA that owns that. So I got to give that to the VA.
Okay, well, give it to them. Anything that makes the system better for all of us, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Leslie, why is it important for service members to know about FEDVIP?
So to me, it's important for them to know because as you're transitioning through retirement, they don't have the knowledge base to know what's out there and what's, like Paul said, to his point, there's no education and everything. I know when I got out, I went to the dentist thinking, oh, this is how I've done it. And I joined at 17. Yeah. So when I got out, I'm like, hey, I'm here for my cleaning. And they're like, oh, do you have insurance? And I'm like, huh? Insurance? What you talking about? The Army did it for me every year. Yeah. So the knowledge in knowing that, when you get out, things do change. The eligibility as well, because it's not just, active military. We also go ahead and you're eligible if you're a survivor of a retired active or retired reserve that has TRICARE for your vision. Medal of Honor recipients that retire that also have TRICARE coverage. So it's a lot of nuance into, going ahead and getting the information out there. The importance is that that if something was to happen, and when you get out too, sometimes you go ahead and you take that leave. So you're like, I don't really want to work right now. I've been working, 365 days a year. So let me take a month off. And you don't have an employer, you don't have the coverage. So knowing that this is something that is available to you, get your eyes checked. Your teeth are important. There's also ways for us to mitigate medical diseases. When you get your eyes checked, it can go ahead and show screenings of cancer before your medical doctor can even go ahead and get the symptoms and test for it.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things, just to add one thing to that, one of the things that always amazed me was the cost of things. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I had no idea that to get a root canal is like $800 or $1,000. I mean, just said things are so expensive, and if you don't have the proper insurance, you're going to really find yourself in a bind. So having the right kind of dental insurance or vision insurance is important, because again, it goes back to the cost, and you just don't have a whole lot of money to start spending on buying additional things like that. So it's just too expensive.
Hey, Jack, I'll jump in on that point.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, we go to dental, I'll stick with dental for now, right? I think in many cases you get just enough, but you don't get like high end stuff that you're used to. So when I got out, one of my things, I was grinding my teeth in the military, and I knew that, and I had a mouth guard, but kind of a lot of the damage had done. The long-term effect of that is like you grind enough, you create cracks in your teeth, and you're going to need crown work, right? Or that tooth's going to break off. A crown, like, is like, oh, it's just a crown. A crown, like, without insurance is several $1,000s. So, and if you need multiples, like I needed 8 when I retired. So this wasn't something I just could do, right? I had to kind of go, okay, let's set up a plan and we'll do 1, 2, 3 at a time. But without insurance, that would have been expensive. And even with insurance, it was an expensive cost. So, another part, like if a lot of our service members retired, we're still young, that, right? Jack, you and I are longer in the tooth, but when we retired, we were young, right? I still had teenage kids, and what do teenage kids need? They need braces usually. That's an expensive cost, right? You've got to factor all that in. So again, back to the planning thing, you got to think about, what do I need? And that's why that last and understanding like of your medical and dental history is important when you retire, right? So get into your dental record. You've got access. They're going to give it to you when you retire, and you get that last physical. Go through and start to get familiar with like, oh boy, this doesn't look good. I'm going to have to get a lot of costs here. And I've got 2 teenage sons, or a teenage son and a daughter getting ready to go into braces. That helps inform, I should get a high plan, right? You'll pay more premiums, but when it comes time to pay on the back end with deductibles, you're going to pay less, and that cost is going to be offset. So again, these are the things you got to think through that I don't think many people are thinking about.
Oh, I agree. And one of the things I guess I may have did right before I got out, I made sure my kids, my wife, everybody went to the dental lab. You got to make sure that you plan to get out, because that is a lot of additional costs. The other thing I was going to tell you, Paul, you're forbidden to talk about age on the show. I don't know if you know that. I'm an old guy. Oh, no. Okay.
I think you're looking great. You're looking great.
Well, thank you very much. Now we're back on track here. That sounds good to me.
Yes.
Hey, Leslie, we started the show by talking about open enrollment season for FEDVIP. Would you take us through the steps, to ensure that those are the entitled to receive dental and vision insurance don't miss out? So take us through the steps of what they have to do.
So for our uniform services, everyone that's eligible has to go through the benefits.gov site to go ahead and enroll. Once you go into the site, you can go ahead and create your profile. It's very simple, and it's going to go ahead and take you in to make your selections. We're not the only carriers, but so you can go ahead and choose. You can find our benefits for Blue Cross Blue Shield FEDVIP program on our websites, which is BCBS as in Sierra, FEP vision.com, and then bcbsfepdental.com, just to go ahead and compare those benefits. You go on the site, you make your selection, you click enroll, and as of January 1st, your benefits will be active. You don't have to wait. There is no waiting period for when the benefits start outside of open season. You're signing up for the upcoming year. So as of January 1st, you can go use your benefits.
Yeah, I think the big thing, and both of you are really talking about, make sure you prepare yourself. You know, when you're getting out of the service, make sure you start doing all this kind of research and understand what you're entitled to and what you need to do before you get out. Hey, in our final segment, I want to talk about Blue Cross Blue Shield Association in supporting our military community. But first, like always a but first, we got take another short break. So stay there. I'll be right back. Now, here's a word from two more of the organizations that help make this show possible.
You're watching Your Next Mission video podcast, brought to you in part by Blue Cross Blue Shield FEP Dental, Blue Cross Blue Shield FEP Vision.
Part of transitioning out is that dental and vision insurance breaks off from your medical insurance.
Vision and dental is very important to be able to enjoy your retirement.
Blue Cross Blue Shield makes the transition so much easier.
And USAA.
A promise is a trust not to be broken, whether spoken with an oath or sealed with a pinky. And after 100 years, we're still taking care of the military community and their families. That's our mission, always.
Now back to your host, the 12th Sergeant Major of the Army, Jack L. Tilley.
Welcome back. We're blessed to be here today with retired Navy Fleet Master Chief Paul Kingsbury, Director of Federal Employee Program Community Relations, and Leslie Santiago-Rodriguez, Manager of Uniformed Services Community Relations at Blue Cross Blue Shield Association. Remember, this is your show. We know there's so many issues that directly affect you, and we want to address each and every one of them. So please, as I said many times, reach out to me. Tell us what topics you'd like it to cover. You can call or text me at 844-424-1134, or send me an email at SMA Tilley at yournextmission.org. And guess what? I'll actually reach back out to you. Paul, Blue Cross Blue Shield, I know, has given to the local communities right here in Tennessee about $100 million to improve the playgrounds in cities, throughout the state. As a prior service member, this is a great question, a prior service member, advocate for the military community through Blue Cross Blue Shield, you are providing support in much the same way. Would you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's probably the most rewarding thing I get to do. So like we've talked about today, one of our lines of effort is product education. So that's rewarding in itself, like raising awareness among military families, retirees, veterans about how dental and vision insurance matters, how it changes, what your eligibility is, how you can save money. I think that's important, especially in economic times where inflation is high. Any opportunity to save money is important, and frankly, giving back. I think you understand this, right? We retire, but there's still a connection to our military tribe and an innate want to give back. In this capacity, it's with education. But another cool thing is, I'm fortunate to work for a great company that trusts me, trusts Leslie and I to kind of invest money back into in the community. And then, we're in the business of community relations. So we have, I think, Leslie, now about 25 plus partners in the uniformed service community. We invest in a wide variety of things, but we focus on key things and key areas of need within the military community. I think we know those. So we're looking at areas of spouse and unemployment challenges. We invest with the National Military Family Association with Operation Purple Camp, which gets into youth mental health programs, and we look for partnerships there. Some organizations like Hope for the Warriors, we support areas where they're looking to offset food insecurity. So there is a lot to give. There's a lot of need within the military community. We can't meet it all, but the partners we've got are great. Partnership with you, and thank you, Jack, for the work you do to continue to educate and support not just veterans, but our military community. I think it's important for us, and it's really cool to be able to come back and put financial support behind that. We look for the win-win-win, right? We look for the opportunities to educate and raise our brand, but we also look for the opportunity to invest in programs that really, at the end of the day, help our military community, whether it's active duty members, family members, or veterans, really prosper and overcome the challenges that exist out there.
Yeah, I think you and me are both the same. I'll do all I can to help the veteran community and their families till the day I die. Because the military was good to me. It afforded me a great life in the military, and so I just want to give back, just like you guys are giving.
And then
back.
we want to, we want to share our lessons learned, right?
Absolutely.
Like there's a lot that you and I, your program's all about that. I think there's so much I didn't know when I was getting out that I don't want anyone else. I experienced gaps in my medical insurance. I experienced gaps in my dental and vision insurance because I didn't know enough and I wasn't paying enough attention. I don't want any retiring service member to fall into those same gaps.
One of the things I did really foolish, and for the people listening today, is I was so focused on the military that I didn't help myself at all. And I think what you got to do is you got to help yourself and your family. And so work hard, do your job, do everything you're supposed to do in the military, but make sure you take care of yourself. And with vision and dental insurance, that's the way to take care of yourself, because it is too expensive, and it really causes a lot of issues, a lot of problems, especially when you get out of the military. I like each one of you. And what is the most rewarding part of your job? And Leslie, we'll start with you. What do you like most about your job? Probably just helping veterans and families, I'm sure, but what else?
The reconnection, to the community. I got out in 2006 from active duty, and then 2011 from the National Guard. And, just stepping back in, reconnecting with that community, it makes me realize that even though I didn't do my full term retirement, 20 years or more, that there are still my brothers and sisters out there. And that just because you didn't do the whole term doesn't mean that anybody looks at you differently, because there's also others that are in the same situation as me. Then you have your, disabled veterans. And the best part with our partnerships with all these different organizations that Paul stated, and then also with, the military child community and the work that we do with them, is being able to give them additional resources. So we're not out there just as, Blue Cross Blue Shield associations. We also get to hear these stories and be like, you know what? I know that you probably don't know this, but there's an organization or there's this resource for you to pull, and it's making a difference throughout. It's not just, we're focused on our brand and we're focused on this. It's, hey, you're about to get out. Let me tell you, some things that are available to you. And they're like, oh my God, thank you. And the appreciation for them and the appreciation that they have for us in the time that we served as well. It's just, I can't describe the feeling. But there are times where we do events and everything else, like with the Navy Memorial and the Lone Sailor, and just reconnecting and getting history on the Navy and the different branches, even though, Army, but, getting to know more what each branch does, because when you're in, you're also focused on mission first. And that's whatever branch you're in. So being able to learn, and there's so many programs too that also kind of bring tears to my eyes when I'm there and hearing the stories. So that's my greatest reward, is being able to give back and just listening to it all.
Leslie, I'll tell you one thing, and Paul knows this too. we're all part of a family. Now, I may harass him because he's in the Navy. He may harass me because I was in the Army or we're in the Army. But we're all part of a family, and we need to make sure that we take care of each other. So it's important for us to educate people that are coming behind us, and even the ones that are out there already, to make sure the quality of life they have is just that much better. So let's take care of our family. Yeah, go ahead.
And like the difference in service time too, you know, not to point anybody's age out, but you know, when you guys got out and the programs available to you guys versus what's new and upcoming and all these new organizations coming in to go ahead and support the military and the veterans and the families and the children. You know, it's gotten bigger, better, you know, more benefits to go ahead and assist. Where, you know, back it was few. Now we have a lot more.
Well, myself and Paul worked on those benefits and entitlements. So you guys that came behind us are getting on.
Thank you for leading the way, gentlemen.
Oh, I appreciate it. Paul, most rewarding thing. What are most rewarding to your job?
I don't know if there's a most. I talked about the opportunity to educate, you know, and raise awareness and save member or money for family members. I think definitely maintaining the connection to the military community is important, but I think the rewarding thing for me is, you know, that I've learned so much more. So I was Navy. I knew about Navy stuff. I knew about, you know, Navy League, you know, Surface Navy Association. That's all I knew. You know, I knew some kind of joint stuff. I knew USO, you know, I'd work with them. But man, you get out here and you see the people that are leading in the nonprofit space, organizations like yours that are doing great work, and the opportunity to come in and support them, knowing that they're doing great work and that the investment in those organizations is helping out military families is really great to see. That's the most rewarding point for me, you know, knowing that through all the outreach and education we're doing, you know, we're educating families, they're saving money, we're investing, we're helping offset military problems. Hey, every day I wake up and I feel great about that.
You know, I'm gonna answer that same question. What's the most rewarding thing that I have? And you just said it. Both of you said it. It's about changing the lives of our veterans and families. It's about making a difference each day, whether or not how big or how small it may be. It's about making a difference and sticking in there, so you know, so we can help each other. And it's really important what we do and what you do to make that difference. So this has been a great discussion. Unfortunately, we got to wrap it up. Any final thoughts, Paul? We're gonna start with you. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to share with the audience that maybe we missed?
Yeah. So just one point to emphasize. I know we talked about retirement and dental and vision insurance and transition, and that happens throughout the year, right? So when I retire, you know, a window opens 31 days prior to retire to 60 days after my retirement date. I can enroll and transition my dental and vision insurance into FEDVIP. Open season is coming up. We mentioned that. This is where active duty family members who need vision insurance for their spouse or for their kids can enroll in FEDVIP. Get on benefits, research FEDVIP, learn, and get enrolled this year and start saving money for your family.
Oh, absolutely. Same question, Leslie. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to share with the audience?
No, just going ahead and supporting Paul's statement and everything else. Go ahead, you know, money's tight for everybody, especially our service members, you know. So get out there, do your research, benefits.com, you know, look at our website as well. Again, bcbsfepvision.com, bcbsfepdental.com. You know, open enrollment, don't forget, November 11th to December 9th, and you have until midnight. So at 11:58, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, I didn't do that, you still got 2 minutes to enroll.
Oh, well, I tell you what, again, I can't thank you guys enough for coming on the show. And thanks again to Blue Cross Blue Shield for being one of our sponsors. We say it all the time, and I'm going to say it here again, we couldn't get it done without you. So keep up the good work and keep helping our veterans and family. And again, thank you so much for being with us today.
No, thank you, Jack. You keep doing the same.
All right. God bless you. Thanks again to Paul Kingsbury and Leslie Santiago-Rodriguez from Blue Cross Blue Shield Association for being with us today. I'm Jack L. Tilley, 12th Sergeant Major of the Army, and you've been enjoying Your Next Mission video podcast. Thank you for joining us. Log on to our website at yournextmission.org and leave me a review. I hope it's a good one. While you're there, you can visit our nonprofit and corporate partners who have jobs and services available that can assist you in your transition from the military. And check out our job board in partnership with Recruit Military and Upline, where you can create your own personal profile that will match you with a job that's just right for you. You can follow me on all my personal social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Rumble. And if you like what we're doing with Your Next Mission, please click on that subscribe button below. And don't forget to click on the bell to receive notifications about our upcoming video podcast. Don't forget, we want to hear from you. Please leave me a message or send me a text at 844-424-1134 or send me an email at smatilley@yournextmission.org. Thanks again to Paul and Leslie for joining us today. You know, it's great when we talk about benefits and entitlements for our veteran community and our families. A lot of times we just don't know what we need prior to getting out of active duty. So FEDVIP is a great program for you, so check it out. Go to the website, enroll, do what you do to help your family members and to save a little bit of money. It's a great program for all of you, so don't forget to use it. Thanks again for watching, and thanks to New Mind Studios, and of course, our sponsors, Navy Federal Credit Union, Purdue Global, Blue Cross Blue Shield, FEP Dental, and Blue Cross Blue Shield, FEP Vision, and USAA. We appreciate all you do for our military. And as always, see you on the high ground. Hooah!
You've been listening to Your Next Mission, brought to you by the American Freedom Foundation. Learn more by visiting yournextmission.org.